Can you go to trade school for construction management? The answer is you should be able to, but trade schools, unfortunately, are kind of dying out even today with the focus of, hey, you don't need to go to university, and showing clearly the need for trade schools. But I will give you some advice that answers this question that I think you're going to love. Now, we have posted videos about this before, but we've gotten 6 additional questions that we're going to cover in this video today that I think you're going to love. So if you're interested in that, stay with us on this video. Okay, so let me just say this real quickly. We recently started, actually 2 years ago, and have been doing projects really well. Our own construction company called Lean Belt in Phoenix, Arizona. And when we started to hire for our craft positions, we needed 2 carpenters, 2 laborers, an equipment operator, and possibly 1 or 2 dynamic laborers for the project side. The first thing I did was start looking up organizations that teach the craft, trade schools, technical institutes, and I was so disappointed. I found 4, and this is like within the last 10 months, that had closed some very specific narrow programs that did like carpentry or welding or some very specific things, but not very specific to construction, and some programs that were in the process of dying out. And I was so sad. I found none that offered construction management courses. But don't let that discourage you. Let me talk to you about a couple things that I think you're going to love in these questions. But the bottom line is, if you want to know specifically trade school construction management, then you definitely want to research in your local area. There's definitely books online like what we provide at Elevate Construction, and definitely there's foreman, project manager, and superintendent programs with NCCER. Okay, so I do want you to know that, but let me answer these questions right now. Do I need a degree to be a superintendent or project manager? I've answered this before, but no. You may need it to get in. And so this is why we've got to have the proper mindset. I'm going to say this again. You've got to pretend you're robbing a bank. Like literally, pretend you're Ethan Hunt and you're breaking into a building. All of the movies that Kate and I are watching with Mission Impossible, he's got to break into a building. You've got to be that tenacious about breaking into construction. Can you go do an internship? Can you go into a laborer position, a carpenter position? Can you do an admin position and then transfer over? Can you call a buddy, a family relative? How can you get in? I got in construction because my dad was a ready-mix driver who knew the sales lead for a massive prison where they used a lot of concrete from my dad's company, that got me in as a cement mason with the finishing crews, and then I worked my way up through field engineer. So you don't need a degree to be successful, but you may need it to get in. Can I move into construction management after a trade school or an apprenticeship? The answer is yes, if you have the right opportunity. Here's the key. Whichever way you go, you're gonna hit immediately and do 2 things. You're going to work super hard in a responsible manner and be intelligent. Actually, I'm going to expand it to 3 things. Second, you're going to ask more questions than you've ever asked in your entire life. And then 3, you're going to push into uncomfortable situations by volunteering to do other things. Because I learned early on with my parents to gain their love to be a hard worker, I was a super hard worker. Second thing is I didn't know anything, so I asked lots of questions. And third, I would volunteer, and I'll tell you a story. I bought a Dell computer for, I think it was $3,200 on a credit card. Dave Ramsey would be so mad. And I bootlegged a copy of AutoCAD, and I learned it without permission from the job site team. And I said, hey, I don't want to be a rodman anymore. I'm doing lift drawings. I'm managing work. And the superintendent was like, great, I need somebody, go. Start volunteering. If you follow those 3 patterns, you'll get in wherever you want to go, and you will be promoted up and up and up, regardless of what kind of education you have. You just need the opportunity. 3, what is the fastest path from the field to leadership roles? Well, let me tell you this. The fastest opportunity is wherever you are in the field is to demonstrate the capability to be clean, safe, and organized, intelligent, take notes, use technology, and act professionally and dress the part. The best way to train for it is to go through the field engineering position. I know that's not popular to hear from me, 2 people. I said that totally wrong. But anyway, my point is, I know that's not a popular opinion, but if you gain the skills of being a field engineer or a project engineer that's field and office focused, you are going to skyrocket. The fastest actual path is through a construction management degree with a little bit of experience. So use that and mix that around to whatever makes the most sense to you and try and formulate a path for yourself. How do I prove that I'm ready for construction management when I didn't go to college? Hey, I'm telling you, do the things that college should have done. Gained maturity, given you organization, allowed you to create a personal organization system, act professionally, know the basics, show up professionally, talk professionally, use technology, and be responsible and stay away from the lower level influences in your life. You are the average of your 5 closest friends or most recent media inputs. And I'm just gonna say it, if you have dirtbag friends, you're gonna show up like a dirtbag. I remember one person that we were really trying to get to be a superintendent. He was Kraft, and I love Kraft. By the way, I look up to Kraft. But he was still coming to work with holes in his pants. He was still, I don't even know how he was succeeding as a Kraft foreman, actually, now that I think about it. Didn't take notes, shied away from any technology, super just gruff and hard to deal with, showed up late, right? And it just became super clear, like, you are not ready for this. You have to take it to another level. Sometimes, and I don't know why, but in construction, we put up with workers and foremen doing some things that aren't great, you know? Like, it's not uncommon for somebody to look like they're not ready in those roles. And I don't think that should be the case, because I look up to workers and foremen just like I do management and delivery teams. But the bottom line is, as an unfortunate circumstance of our industry disrespecting workers and foremen, sometimes people sympathy vote that behavior. You can't continue that behavior into construction management. You've got to act, look, dress, talk the part. And the last 2 questions are there trade schools that teach construction management, and is that enough to learn construction management? The answer for both of those is no. I don't know of very many trade schools or any at all. They could be popping up. So by the time you watch this video, do your own research, please. Chat GPT it, Google it, you know, ask around, Chamber of Commerce. As of now, at least in Phoenix, no. But even if there were, and even if you're learning construction management from college, that's just a bare minimum. Like, I heard an analogy one time that you go into military boot camp, you have to pass the physical to get in, and then boot camp is the training. University is getting into the military, into boot camp, and then construction is the boot camp and the training. I've never actually heard of somebody that got a construction management degree or went to a tech school say that they used what they learned in school on the job. Anything meaningful that you're going to learn on the job and from industry training. So I wouldn't worry about it. When you get there, you're going to pick up trainings like Elevating Construction Foreman, Elevating Construction Field Engineers, Elevating Construction Superintendents, YouTube videos like this, industry trainings, AGC trainings, DBIA trainings, like anything in the industry and from your mentors and from your company. But really, I wouldn't worry too much about what you learn there. It's simply to get in. Let me just make a statement. Trade schools and construction management degrees are only to get in. I have never seen somebody take the skills they've learned in college and apply them at work. You learn every bit of that on the job. And I know that from experience, and I've taught many times and continue to teach in universities. And I love those of you who went to college, but these environments are the most boring, non-related, don't get to implement, forget right away environments I've ever seen. So don't worry about it, it's just to get in. And if you can get in without the degree, more power to you. All you have to do is be hardworking, growth mindseted, be willing to implement fast, ask a bunch of questions, and volunteer and get out of your comfort zone. Those are the answers. I'm going to turn this into a blog post for you so you can use it to win. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to go.